What's up, guys? It's Matt, back with another episode of TKW U. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Miles Bridges. So Bridges had a really successful sophomore campaign after returning to Michigan State. His freshman year, it was basically assumed that he was going to go in the lottery, but he decided to return to school, hone his craft, and really improve upon his game. It's a goal that he set when he first went to Michigan State, that he wanted to stay at school for 2 years. And I think it really paid off to get another year on campus, to learn under Izzo, to play with another great player in Jaren Jackson Jr. It's just important to appreciate what playing at school can do for you. For a guy like Bridges that relies so much on his athleticism to get more work in the gym, to take on more of a leadership role. These are the kind of things that guys go to college to learn, and these are the kind of things that are going to be so important once these guys reach the NBA. I love Bridges' tenacity. He stepped up in so many big moments for Michigan State this year, and it's so evident watching him play just one game how much he truly loves basketball and how hard he's willing to work to take his game to the next level. So let's get right into it with Bridges' shooting, which is one of the strongest aspects of his game. He was awesome for Michigan State, especially spotting up for three, as you'll see here as he knocks down the three against Wisconsin. He shot 36% from three this year after shooting 39% as a freshman, so both pretty decent percentages, especially from a forward. He also scored in the 58th percentile among spot-up shooters, which, as you'll see here, he can get that release off pretty quick too. He doesn't need a lot of space. He's got a high release with that lefty shot that's really hard to contest. I'll be interested to see once he gets to the NBA how quick defenses respect him. We've seen thicker forwards in the mold of Bridges start to really find their three-point shots later in their careers, but he's already got it coming into the NBA, which is impressive and a testament to the work he's put in. So with Bridges, the comparison is always going to come from the other wings that could be drafted by the Knicks. So we know he can knock down threes, but can he do it like Mikal Bridges? Is he as dynamic as a Kevin Knox? Maybe the Knicks think that a Zaire Smith or a Lonnie Walker could be just as good as Bridges at shooting the three, but have a litany of other skills that they could bring to the table. So I just want to touch briefly on Bridges' defense because it's something that we're going to compare a lot between the wing options that the Knicks have. I don't think Bridges is a bad defender. I don't think he's a great defender. He often found himself getting a little lost at Michigan State, but I also think part of that was him playing out of position. I wasn't a fan of many of Tom Izzo's lineup choices this year. I thought he did a bad job of assigning Bridges the right type of defensive match. He shared the floor a lot with two other big men, so whether it was Jaren Jackson Jr., Nick Ward, Gavin Schilling, it's going to be a different story for Bridges in the NBA. He's mostly going to be tasked with defending fours instead of threes because he's a bigger guy that can hold his own in the post. So we may see a different defender once Bridges gets to the NBA than we saw in college. So Bridges also has a pretty nasty mid-range game in his repertoire. He relied on it a little too much at times at college, and there was a lot of moments where I wanted him to step back and take the three, but he would wind up leaning pretty heavily on that mid-range game. This really comes from his ineffectiveness as a ball handler at times to attack the hoop. He really struggled getting to the free throw line, and it's a big concern about his potential upside as a player. So in this clip, he's in perfect position to attack, but decides not to. Boom. All his momentum toward the hoop, but he decides to pull up instead and take the jumper. Not the best move he could have made. So he only ended up attempting 3 free throws per game this season, basically the same last year too. He shot them at a much better clip this year, which was a promising sign. But beyond that, Bridges simply needs to get to the free throw line more often. There was a fantastic piece over at Cleaning the Glass this week that talked about his attacking the rim, what he does, what foot he jumps off of, and how that impacts his free throw rate. I love that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, it's going to be Bridges getting to the free throw line more as a big remedy for some of those mid-range concerns that he has. Yankees fans, Clay Bridges hit a home run. Let's go. So Bridges definitely has some chops as a ball handler too. He scored in the 93rd percentile, which is excellent as a pick-and-roll ball handler. There's a lot he can do. His athleticism really helps him out here. And as I mentioned before, that's why it can get frustrating when he settles for the step-back jumper. He doesn't need it. The pull-up is in his repertoire, but he'd do better to go off the dribble more, get to the hoop, find his big men, and really attack. Think about the type of guys that are tasked with playing threes or fours in the NBA nowadays. Now look at Miles Bridges and tell me anyone's going to stop him coming to the hoop. And he's such a dynamic dunker too. You'll see here, he just takes the guy right off the dribble and can yam it. Miles, I'm begging you, buddy, do more of this when you get to the NBA and you'll find new levels of success. So this was my favorite play from Bridges all year. Oh my God. My roommate and I basically screamed for about a minute total after this play. You see what he can do. He takes Duncan Robinson, who played good minutes for Michigan this year, right off the dribble with the hezzy, and he has no shot at defending him. As a big, strong wing that can also shoot threes, Miles needs to not settle for the mid-range jumpers and do this more often. I want to touch on his shot selection briefly because it's a big concern of mine for his game moving forward. So we're going to look at 3 clips from one specific game against Wisconsin at the end of the year. That first three is fine, but this second three is really not a shot you want. You have a lot of time left on the shot clock. Don't force yourself into that one. This one is just a poor shot. 16 seconds left on the shot clock and you take the three. It's bad. And then here, you end up with another opportunity where the shot clock is winding down, but drive to the hoop, Miles. Use that off the dribble game we just talked about to your advantage. I hate to say this, and Knicks fans are going to hate to hear this, especially in 2018, but there was just a lot of times you'd watch Michigan State and you'd see shades of Melo in Miles Bridges' game with the shot selection. I think we often felt, and I know at least I certainly did, that Melo can take the ball to the hoop more. He had such strength down low to take advantage of smaller guys. Get in there, get your rebounds, get your easy putbacks. Miles is the same way. He settles too much for those pull-up jumpers. And let's make one thing clear. If Miles Bridges turns into Carmelo Anthony, then that's a great draft pick. But we need to consider the downfalls of someone's game, and that could be the downfall for Miles Bridges. Not using his dribble, settling for pull-up jumpers, not going to the hoop. So, what for the Knicks then? Please enjoy a few clips of Miles Bridges dunking all over someone's face. I tweeted out a list of my tiers today of draft picks, and I think Miles is firmly in that range where I'd be content if he's the Knicks selection. I have concerns about his shot selection and his ability to flip his game around and change some habits that he made at Michigan State. But he is just such a relentless athlete. He is such a hard worker. He's a great kid, and he'd be a great addition to this young Knicks core. So in the first episode, I talked about how you have to build an offense and a defense around Trae Young. The exact opposite is true for a guy like Bridges. You can slot him in a lot of different areas. He has a ways to go to become a plus defender, but he has the baseline to be able to get there. The moment he steps into the league, he's going to be a threat from three, which is an essential skill that a wing needs. Fizdale can deploy him in a lot of different ways in the lineup, which is exciting because you can see him playing at the 4 next to Porzingis, but you can also see him playing the 3 in a lot of different lineups, taking advantage of some smaller guys that are going to have to guard him, get him down in the post, take him to the hoop, bully ball him. That's what he needs to do. I'd certainly prefer him to play most of his minutes at the 4, but that option is there. I've gone back and forth on the Bridges bandwagon. I was mostly on the McHale side for a long time. I'm second-guessing myself now, and I don't know if that's just because of oversaturation, of overanalyzation. It could be any of those things. But I've essentially come to the conclusion that I'd be fine with either Bridges being selected. Honestly, any of the wings that the Knicks could add, I'd be excited about. I'd have to talk myself into the Lonnie Walkers and the Zaire Smiths and the Kevin Knoxes of the world. But listen, if it comes down to it and the Knicks really love Kevin Knox, do it. Don't second-guess yourself. Go with your gut. Teams really screw themselves up when they worry about what other people think. The Knicks should do what they think is best. I spent all year watching all of these wing guys, and I have my list, but at the end of the day, I don't know which one is going to be the best. I can only give my advice and my recommendations. I'll give my final big board in our last video before the draft, but for Miles Bridges specifically, you love his athleticism, you like his three-point shooting, you like his potential as a defender, you worry about his shot selection, you worry if he's ever going to attain that handle that can take him to the next level. But nevertheless, he's young, he's exciting, and he's a wing. Those are just a few of the most important traits that the Knicks should be considering when they make this pick. So thanks a bunch for watching, guys. Draft's a week away. Super exciting. Follow me on Twitter. Hit me in the comments below. Let's keep having this discussion about who the Knicks are going to take. And until next time, I'm Matt Spendley for TKW U, signing off.